In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and merciful, I welcome you all in today's session. Today we are going to talk about internal audit. The title of the chapter from the book of Fred R. David is Internal Assessment, and that is your chapter number 4. In the start, we're discussing chapter objectives. The first objective is describe how to perform an internal strategic management audit. The second objective would be discuss the resource-based view in strategic management. The third point is discuss key interrelationships among the functional areas of business. Number 4, identify the basic functions or activities that make up management, marketing, finance, accounting, production and operations, research and development, and management information systems. Then we'll be talking about explain how to determine and prioritize a firm's internal strengths and weaknesses. The sixth step would be explain the importance of financial ratio analysis. Then we'll be talking about discuss the nature and role of management information systems in strategic management. The eighth step would be to develop an internal factor evaluation matrix. And towards the end, we'll be talking about cost and benefit analysis, value chain analysis, and benchmarking as strategic management tools. So in the sequence of our strategic management model, we are going to perform internal audit now. We started from developing mission, vision, and value statements. Then we talked about external audit. And now the current step would be the internal audit, which would be chapter number 4. And afterwards, after this internal audit, we'll be talking about establishing long-term objectives and then generating, evaluating, and selecting different strategies to achieve our particular objectives and so on. So we are still in the phase of strategy formulation, and it is a very important step that you need to know your strengths and weaknesses now. We have already gone through our set of opportunities and threats, and now we're going to talk about our strengths and weaknesses so that our SWOT analysis is completed. We start our discussion from the concept of business DNA. As you know, that the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is the core of any living creature. So just like that, when we talk about business DNA, the basic core around which the business would be established. So in our business context, rather than calling it deoxyribonucleic acid, we'll be talking about design, needs, and aspirations. When we say design in context of business, it means how to satisfy customer needs. When we talk about needs, we are concerned with the fact that what our customer needs or job to get done. And when we say aspirations, that would mean why satisfy customer needs. So business DNA is comprehensively visualizing, organizing, and understanding a business model. So around our business DNA model, there would be industry, which is our ecosystem. And we have to see that what is trade-off or competitive advantage that our firm is having in comparison to our industry, and what are costs and revenues associated with our business model. And obviously, our industry is surviving within the global environment, and we have to see that what are the impacts on environment and what are the impacts of environment related to our industry and eventually to our business. So when we talk about key internal forces, we are concerned with our distinctive competencies. And the distinctive competencies can be defined as a firm's strengths that cannot be easily matched or imitated by competitors. And in that context, we have to build competitive advantage, which involves taking advantage of distinctive competencies. And the process of gaining competitive advantage in a firm would be that we have to overcome our weaknesses, we have to improve upon our strengths. Through that, we have to create distinctive competencies, and our competencies would be providing us the base for our competitive advantage. And then we'll be trying to sustain our competitive advantage for long-term above average return. So that is the whole sequence we have to follow in our context of investigating distinctive competencies. Our distinctive competencies would be inquired through internal audit. And the internal audit is defined as the requirements which we gather and assimilate in form of information about the firm's management, marketing, finance and accounting, production and operations, research and development, and management information systems and associated operations. So the internal audit would also provide more opportunity for participants to understand how their jobs, departments, and divisions fit into the whole organization. So we have to develop a systems approach, systems intelligence, and systems thinking, because that systems approach would give us an overview of how all the units of an organization are combined together and how the organizational units are creating synergy in our operations. Now we're going to talk about the resource-based view. The RBV approach contends that internal resources are more important for a firm than external factors in achieving and sustaining competitive advantage. In the previous chapter, we talk about industrial organizational view or IO approach, in which we said that we have to investigate opportunities and threats first. And then according to our opportunities, we have to arrange our internal competencies. But in resource-based approach, we are emphasizing on internal resources as more important than external factors in achieving and sustaining competitive advantage. So it is more like inside out approach. The proponents of RBV contend that organizational performance will primarily be determined by internal resources. And as you all would remember, that whenever we use the word performance, it would mean three things: productivity, profitability, and satisfaction. So the people who follow up this approach, their point of view is that our organizational performance in terms of productivity, profitability, and satisfaction of the stakeholders will primarily be determined by internal resources that can be grouped into three all-encompassing categories. And those categories would be physical resources, human resources, and organizational resources. So in that context, related to internal audit, remember that we have to conduct resource audit as a subcomponent of internal audit. Now, for a resource to be valuable, it must be either unique or rare. It must be hard to imitate. It must be valuable, or it should not be easily substitutable. The third expression, not easily substitutable, can also be known as that our resource is robust. These three characteristics of resources enable a firm to implement strategies that improve its efficiency and effectiveness and lead to a sustainable competitive advantage. Now, when we are talking about resources, that would mean what a firm has to work with. And the resources can be categorized into two aspects: tangible resources and intangible resources. When we talk about tangible resources, we are concerned with finance and financial resources, physical resources, human resources, and organizational resources. The intangible resources may include technological aspects, innovation, reputation, goodwill. These are intangible resources. So the resources, either in form of tangible or intangible form, are assets, including its people and the value of its brand name. Resources represent inputs into a firm's production process. So all the factors of production, which would be eventually converted into production after transformation, so they are part of our audit. And we have to investigate that what are those resources and how those resources are grouped as either strengths or weaknesses, such as capital equipment, skills of employees, brand names, finances, talented managers. So there can be a variety of things we should be looking upon. Now, to further elaborate the concept of tangible and intangible resources, let's have a view that what are financial resources? For example, the firm's borrowing capacity, the firm's ability to generate internal funds. When we talk about organizational resources, the firm's formal reporting structure and its formal planning, controlling, and coordinating systems. So related to this concept, in the second phase in internal audit, we'll be talking about management function audit as well, in which we'll be doing the audit of our planning aspects, our controlling side, our staffing side, leading aspects, and obviously organizing things. When we talk about physical resources, so the sophistication and location of a firm's plant and equipment, access to raw materials. So these are all the physical aspects associated with an organization. When we talk about technological resources, stock of technology, such as patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets. So they can also be known as technological resources. When we talk about intangible resources, the first category is human resource. In the previous slide, we talked about humans in the category of tangible resource. But when we say human as a tangible resource, we are talking about the human as a person working in an organization. And when we say human resource as an intangible resource, we are concerned with the knowledge he or she is having, the level of trust that person is having in association with an organization, managerial capabilities, organizational routines, and all the rest of KSAOs. The KSAOs stands for knowledge, skill, ability, and other personality traits. In the category of innovation resources, we are concerned with ideas, scientific capabilities, capacity to innovate, and etc. And when we say reputational resources, we are concerned with reputation with customers, brand name, perceptions of product quality, durability, and reliability, reputation with suppliers, for efficient, effective, supportive, and mutually beneficial interactions and relationships. So these are all associated with reputational resources. And we'll be having an audit in which we'll investigate that which one of these are our strengths and which one of these needs further improvement or categorized as our weakness. When we use the expression capabilities, that would mean what a firm does. What a firm has is a resource, and what a firm does with those resources is capability. So capabilities become important when they are combined in unique combinations that create a core competency, that have a strategic value, that can lead to competitive advantage. So that's how we create a link between our capabilities, resources, and competitive advantage. When we use the expression capabilities, so capabilities are related to functional areas. For example, distribution capabilities, human resource capabilities, management information system capability, marketing capability, management, manufacturing, research and development. So these are the functional areas with which our capabilities are associated. And every organization is having certain competitive advantages related to these functional areas concerned with certain capabilities, which would be eventually their core competencies, which would be eventually providing the basis for creating competitive advantage. So when we say distribution, its capabilities would be effective use of logistics management techniques. As in our last session, we talked about supply chain, demand chain, logistics, procurement. So that logistic part can be our distribution related capability. When we are concerned with human resources, the capabilities we might have includes motivating, empowering, and retaining employees, Related to management information system, we can have effective and efficient control of inventories through point of purchase data collection methods. When we say marketing, so effective promotion of brand name products, effective customer service, innovative merchandising. When we say management, ability to envision the future of clothing, effective organizational structure for any other related business. When we say manufacturing, design and production skills yielding reliable products, product and design quality, and mini authorization of components and products related to the empowerment. And when we talk about capabilities related to research and development, innovative technology, development of sophisticated elevator control solutions, for example, rapid transformation of technology into new products and processes, digital technology, robotics, automation. These are all the capabilities which an organization can have related to research and development. Now let's have a discussion related to core competencies. It says that for strategic capability to be a core competency, it must be valuable, it must be rare, it must be costly to imitate, and it must be organized to be exploited. So this is another discussion related to resource-based view, in which we do the VRIO analysis, VRIO, V for valuable, R for rare, I for costly to imitate, and O for organized to be exploited. And we can see that what are our core competencies related to these four aspects, which can provide us long-term survival and above average return. So related to the valuable aspect, it would mean allow a firm to neutralize threats or exploit opportunities in its external environment. When we say rare, it would mean possessed by few, if any, current or potential competitors. And when we say costly to imitate, it would mean when other firms either cannot obtain them or must obtain them at a much higher cost. And obviously that can happen when we have experience with us. So through experience curve effect, we can create competitive advantage in terms of cost advantage. And when we say organized to be exploited, it means the firm must be organized appropriately to obtain full benefits of the resources in order to realize a competitive advantage. So all the 5 W's, what, when, where, why, how, who. So all the 5 W's are well incorporated, and you can use your resources in an effective and efficient way to realize your competitive advantage. Now, if all these 4 things like valuable, rare, costly to imitate, organized to be exploited, if they are not available with an organization, its competitive consequence would be that you will be at competitive disadvantage. And your competitive disadvantage would result into below average returns. Now, supposedly, with the passage of time, you are trying to become valuable, you are having value-added services, value-added operations, and you are organized to be exploited, but not yet rare and not yet costly to imitate. So that can give you competitive parity. And you can have performance implications as average returns. And those average returns in the competitive parity would only be beneficial for you as far as you will remain valuable, organized, and not yet rare and not yet costly to imitate. Now suppose that you have created a competitive advantage which is rare. You have got certain core competencies which nobody else is having in the industry. but still you are not costed to imitate. That would give you temporary competitive advantage, short term, and performance implication would be that you'll be moving from average returns to above average returns. But when all the four aspects are met, you are valuable, you are rare and unique, you are costed to imitate as a business entity, and you are organized to be exploited as a business entity. So that is the only situation in which the competitive consequence would be sustainable competitive advantage, and that sustainability would give you above average returns as performance implications. Now, core competencies and the competitive advantage is a very sensitive discussion because there are certain cautions and reminders associated with it. It says, never take for granted. That is a very important expression. Never take for granted that core competencies will continue to provide a resource for competitive advantage. Okay. Remember that the core competencies which you have developed and defined today can be obsolete and orthodox tomorrow. So we have to be very much careful that there should always be flexibility. There should always be adaptability. Should always be a room for development and change. And our current core competencies cannot provide us a long-term sustainability in a very dynamic industry. So remember that all core competencies have the potential to become core rigidities. Okay, it's a very important expression again. All core competencies have the potential to become core rigidities. And the core rigidities, they are former core competencies that sow the seeds of organizational inertia. And as you know, that inertia is opposite to change. So they are former core competencies which were never developed, which were never modernized, which were never changed. So those core competencies of the past would become your core rigidities. And they would prevent the firm from responding appropriately to changes in the external environment, because external environment would never stop changing itself just to entertain you. So external environment would always be changing, and you have to be extremely careful that as per the external environment is changing, you should be changing your organizational setup as well. There should be re-engineering taking place in your organization as per the requirements. And if you don't do so, you'll be suffering from strategic myopia. And as you know, the expression myopia means short-sightedness. So strategic myopia and inflexibility can stop the firm's ability to grow and adapt to environmental change or competitive threats. And as a result, whosoever you are and whatever level of development you are operating in, your strategic myopia would result into your extinction. You would not remain there anymore. And this has happened with so many, even big corporations in the past, that they suffered from strategic myopia. For example, Kodak, the film industry, it's out of discussion now. For that context, Motorola, for that context, Nokia, which were once the industry giants, and nowadays nobody even thinks and talks about these smartphone companies. So remember that strategic myopia can cause core rigidities, inflexibilities, And those rigidities and inflexibilities would eventually cause your stagnation and death of the business. So we have talked about our resources, capabilities, core competencies, competitive advantages. And that is the first step you need to discuss when you talk about internal audit. And that step would be, I repeat, your resource audit. And you have to find out that what are the resources and how those resources can be your strengths or can be your weaknesses. The second aspect which we need to talk about related to internal audit, and it is again very important step and very detailed aspect, and that is discussion related to the culture. And we'll be looking at how the culture is going to be studied, how we are going to conduct cultural audit, and how the culture is associated with the strategy. To start the discussion, remember that culture is equal to structure and human. That is the simplest expression I have. Culture is equal to structure plus human. And in management sciences, when we use the word structure, it would mean three things. The structure would mean physical outlook, the structure would mean departments, and the structure would mean hierarchy. So in a particular physical outlook of an organization, in which there are certain departments and certain hierarchy levels are defined, on that particular structural detail, when humans are hired with certain values, with emotions and feelings, so that would create the culture of an organization. So when we talk about cultural products, the cultural products may include values, beliefs, rites, rituals, ceremonies, myths, stories, legends, sagas, language, symbols, and heroes. There can be other cultural products as well, but we have just shortlisted the fundamental ones. So we are going to conduct the cultural audit related to all these cultural products. And how can we run the cultural audit related to all these cultural products? You have to join the second Zoom session. So hurry up. We're going to end this Zoom session here. And in the second Zoom session, we'll be talking about the cultural products, its details, and how to conduct the cultural audit. Hurry up.